You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? Can you raise your hand if you love a yellow school bus, right?
Democrats may seem like they're riding high over the past couple of weeks. After all, she's received glowing coverage, but the top Democrats, the smart ones, the ones in the know, are terrified because they know that she has not been fully vetted. But that is happening right now, and all kinds of interesting things may come out. In addition to what we know already, the husband made some news over the weekend. It is astonishing that she gets to pick, potentially, conceivably, the next vice president of the United States. Wow. But Obama probably gets the final sign-off, right? We are hearing that any moment, any second, we could find out which white man she picked to be her vice presidential nominee. You see, you can pick a white man at this point. The Democrats will allow that because she's a woman of color. Therefore, all of the candidates, all of them, are white men. Most regular people don't care about race, what color anybody is, but they are obsessed with it. And so, anyway, we'll see which one she picks. Could happen by the end of the show. Israel. Tonight, our thoughts and prayers are with Israel. You know, it is surrounded by enemies, and by the end of the show as well, they could be in a shooting war with Iran. Iran has vowed revenge because Israel took out that terrorist leader in Tehran. And yeah, things could light up and get hot very, very fast. However, we're told that Iran has some pause tonight because through an intermediary, Israel has threatened to annihilate all of Iran's nuclear facilities if Iran should strike one civilian in Israel. It would be really great to get rid of those nuclear facilities, wouldn't it? But we want everybody in Israel to be safe tonight. We also have something called the Kamala crash, okay? This is a taste of what's to come in a Kamala administration. Really, this is bad, bad stuff. So really, turmoil overseas and uncertain economy at home. It's the opposite to what Donald Trump delivered. Peace and prosperity. Peace and prosperity beats two people who don't like each other pretending they like each other. From January 20th of 2017 to January 20th of 2021, that's what we had in America. What about January 6th? Knock it off about January 6th, okay? I'll talk about it in a moment. You know, really, when it comes to the issues, Democrats don't have any, so they've tried this.
The Republican weirdness goes even deeper.
These are weird people on the other side.
It's not just a weird style that he brings. It's that this leads to weird policies.
People might just be searching for the word weird and associating with Republicans.
I see what the Republican agenda looks like every day. It is weird.
No, but this is weird. Trans, drag queens hanging around with kids in public schools. That is considered now some sort of precious civil right that this happens. It's not. It's actually weird. Here's something else that's weird. I mentioned January 6th. We still don't have a full accounting. In fact, our government hasn't even asked the key questions. Who is that little cop and the others waving people onto Capitol Hill? How about the cops who were just standing there by the door as everybody came right on in? Welcome to the Capitol. The rotunda is that away. And why did those cops just walk off the post about a minute before Ashley Babbitt was shot? That's a hell of a time for a coffee break, isn't it? They leave, and all hell breaks loose, and Ashley Babbitt is shot. How about that? And I raise that tonight because do you realize the Capitol Hill police, they've never answered questions about her in a press conference, in a media availability. That's what a professional police department does in the aftermath of a controversial shooting. They didn't do it. And they're not doing it regarding the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. They do it on certain occasions, like if there is a mishap and the NTSB can show up. There was a train crash. They do this whenever there's a crash. One person died in February of 2015. A Mercedes SUV was on the train tracks and it came right through and a lot of people were injured. The federal government briefed the media twice the next day and every day thereafter. They kept having briefings until the reporters got bored and wouldn't show up. That's, all right, I like it. I like it. I want to hear that stuff. So how is it that Donald Trump, an attempted assassination on his life, somebody is killed, like Ashley Babbitt, and the federal government can get away without saying anything? That night, the eyes of the world were upon these officials, which we assumed would include the Secret Service. They didn't show.
Why are there any Secret Service agents here right now for this press conference?
So Secret Service wasn't available for the press conference at this time.
Secret Service not available for the press conference at this time. Well, they were finally available for a press conference 20 days after the fact. 20 days later, I believe that they got some of their story straight. They tested it in front of Congress, and they actually had an availability before the media. On a Friday afternoon, an old federal government trick to minimize coverage. And, well, this is bureaucratic. This is deceptive. This is the worst of the swamp. We have to go through it. Some of it may seem tedious, but it is extremely revealing. Go.
I've commissioned a task force, and that task force is going to be leveraging the resources of the Department of Homeland Security. It'll be co-chaired in all likelihood by someone from the Secret Service and someone from CISA. And I think we're also going to bring in some state and local law enforcement. The interoperability challenge, it's not an easy fix. It's not as simple as just trying to figure out the local frequency of the agency you're working with and then piping that into your radio network. It requires a substantial technical fix.
No, it doesn't, actually. That's Ronald Rowe, the acting director of the Secret Service, and he is in full defense mode. Full, we didn't do anything wrong. It is incredible. You could just buy more Secret Service radios and share them with the local guys. You could actually do that. Instead, we're going to form a commission, a task force, and we'll kick the can down the road. And finally, it'll probably cost many millions of dollars for the interoperability situation. You could buy these things. You should have bought them before this happened. Next.
It is plainly obvious to me that we didn't have access to certain information, not by anybody's fault. It just so happened that there was a sense of urgency, that there might have been radio traffic that we missed. We have to do a better job of that. So moving forward.
It was always moving forward, moving forward. You know, pretty soon we're going to get to it, moving forward. Don't pay attention to that. Next, 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 the future. No, we have to know everything that happened because we're suspicious as hell. Did you catch that part? Not that it's anybody's fault. Not anybody's fault. You don't know that. And I think he may know that, but he's denying it. Next.
What happened before the assailant opened fire? There was clearly radio transmissions that may have happened on that local radio net that we did not have. And so we have to do a better job of co-locating, leveraging that counterpart system, and this is going to drive our operations going forward.
Again with the going forward, co-locating. Fancy bureaucratic talk for doing the logical, common sense thing. The thing that, quite frankly, the Warren Commission told you guys to do 60-plus years ago. Next.
It did not make it over to us, or whether we did not hear it, it just did not make it over to us. It did not make it to us. And I go back to my opening statement where the members of the detail, they did not, all they knew that they're the issue, that the locals were working an issue at the president's 3 o'clock, which would have been off to his right, which is where the shot came from.
They were working that issue, and they were looking in that direction. They were. The snipers on that roof, right? They were looking over there at the 3 o'clock. How can you? This is so crazy. And so far, it's kind of like business as usual. The mainstream media are moving on from this. So many people want President Trump dead. I am so concerned for him right now. How about this? We finally got a straight answer about the drone. They asked during the hearing, we had the bandwidth, but it was interrupted, and here's a straight answer. No drones.
We did not have a drone on site. We did not put a drone up. Based on the information I have right now, I am aware that there was a request from a local agency to offer to fly a drone on that day. And that is also part of the mission assurance review that I've asked to get some better insight in.
Mission Assurance Review. That's the benign name they're giving the task of investigating themselves. The mission. Where the heck is the U.S. attorney? That's what we need at this point. Yeah, the FBI, don't trust them. Mission Assurance Review. Next.
Nicole, we use that counterpart system, right? And so the teams, especially on the tactical side, when it comes to the tactical, our counter-assault team, they actually had an embed with them from the local TAC team. And they had that radio net as well with Pennsylvania State Police. With respect to the counter-snipers, they were using cellular or telephone text communications. At this point, moving forward, what I have directed now is that everybody should be using the radio net. And if we don't have the ability to pipe in or leverage that counterpart system, that's one of the things that we're looking at now. We should be able to have direct comms with the people that are supporting us, and that's moving forward. That's what I have directed.
You think? And this is like a doctor saying, moving forward, I'm going to wash our hands before surgery, or every police officer gets a badge. Moving forward, we're going to make all the city bus drivers take a driving test before they get their job. Everybody talking on the same frequency is somehow a higher, yet to be reached plateau for these guys. Next.
I'm curious about, you mentioned that this was the first event where Secret Service counter snipers had been assigned as part of the security for former President Trump. To what extent do you think that factored into what were ultimately shown to be the failures? Just that this was a first time, at least in a while in his capacity as a former president, that they were there on the site.
So
the novelty of it, sorry.
Sure. So let me just clarify one thing. This is the first time that Secret Service counter snipers, But
what? It's just gibberish after that. This is the first time Secret Service snipers were there, and they took out the shooter, right? Oh, right, that's good. 15 seconds, that's late. They knew about it when. We need to know. Forgive me, but when I found out the Secret Service snipers, this was the first time that they did a Trump event this campaign season, and the shooter gets killed. That's totally appropriate, but my mind wandered, and I thought of Lee Harvey Oswald, right? How long did he get to stick around after what he may or may not have been a part of? All right, but more important than the safety of President Trump or even President Biden or the rest is morale.
I wanted you to address, or if you can, describe the Pittsburgh field office and their level of experience, especially in preparing for events like this, and also have they explained their thinking and how they defined the perimeter that day?
Sure. Thanks, Holmes. Our Pittsburgh field office, I don't think there's anybody in the Secret Service who is feeling this more than the men and women of our Pittsburgh field office. And I've met with them. And they are down right now.
This is way too early for the boo-hoo. I'm sorry. That's unprofessional, quite frankly, to talk about this after what we witnessed. And, he's bucking everybody up. He just wants to keep this job. And one possible way to keep it is to keep the troops happy. But no, this man cannot continue to lead. Every moment he is there, I believe President Trump especially is at risk.